Alright, so we got the full summary for 1124. We're going over the full chapter here. We're seeing the full incredible sequence between Akainu and Kizaru. A lot of stuff that we didn't know about yesterday, as well as this really great sequence with Luffy, the Giants, and the Straw Hats, as well as them pretty much pulling up to Elbaf, meaning in the next chapter they'll probably be setting foot there. The chapter starts with Morgans, Wapol, and Vivi in the World Economy newspaper headquarters. Morgans is excitedly preparing the next headlines to spread fear throughout the world. Morgan says Law versus Blackbeard, Kid versus Redhair, and Straw Hat murdering Vegapunk. Vivi says, "You're a liar. No smart person in the world will believe your news." Vivi confronts Morgans while Wapol tries to calm her down. Morgans is frustrated that Vivi doesn't fear his threats. Morgan says, "I really don't care if the world sinks since my home is in the sky. Maybe it will be my era now." So I guess this is the headlines that are going to go out. Everyone's going to find out that Blackbeard defeated Law and that Shanks defeated Kid. And then, also Luffy straight up murdered Vegapunk, which is hilarious. But I guess that will give motivation for the Marines to go after Luffy still, more so than him just being a Yonko, I guess, maybe. But of course, it also takes the heat off of Saturn and Kizaru, unintentionally or not. That also means the Straw Hats will eventually find out what had happened with those battles as well, and I'm sure they'll talk about that in Elbaf, where Luffy's next opponent is either going to be Shanks or Blackbeard. Cut back to Egghead Island, and we see that Sentomaru is leaving the island on a small boat. He's crying. So this just shows us that Sentomaru did survive Egghead and that he's leaving to go somewhere, but he will eventually be back, I'm sure, with a power boost to some extent. Akainu tries to call the Marines at Egghead, but everyone is down and there's no answer. Finally, Kizaru gets up and picks up the call. It's unclear if Kizaru was down too before Akainu's call, but he's the only Marine awake in that moment. Kizaru says, "I will order young Marines to report you everything once everyone wakes up." Akainu asks about the safety of Saturn and the power plant. Then he says that Kizaru is doing a lousy job. Kizaru replies to Akainu seriously. He says, "Sakazuki, have you ever killed your best friend?" "Am I being soft, Sakazuki?" While he says that, we see a mini flashback of Kizaru and Vegapunk's friendship, like the first day they met or when Vegapunk starts building Egghead. Then Kizaru shouts in tears. Kizaru says, "If you have time to doubt my ability, then come back and check it for yourself, you darn brat." Akainu is shocked to hear Kizaru's tone. Akainu says, "I'm sorry, brother." Kizaru says, "Shut up, it's too late for that." Whoa, that was awesome. This is what we need more of. There's some character development here, callbacks to the history of all of these characters, as well as setting up future storylines and strengthening current ones, and just showing raw emotion between these two characters that should be shown. I gave a little guff in my previous video about how I think Kizaru's backstory was retconned to make Vegapunk his best friend, but to be honest, whether that is or not the case, it doesn't matter. Just him having that backstory and connection with Vegapunk is great. And I say that because it was announced that Jujutsu Kaisen is ending in the next 5 chapters, and it made me realize how shallow that series is compared to One Piece. So I would have loved it if characters in Jujutsu Kaisen just had, this mildly in-depth backstory like Kizaru and his connection to Vegapunk and why he would be torn to pieces about this, and show emotion to Akainu, with Akainu straight up just saying like, "Hey, I'm sorry, bro, I went too far," which we've never really seen Akainu do before. And we've never seen Kizaru show this much emotion before either. Like, he's straight up crying and yelling. This is probably going to go down as one of the best sequences in the series so far. Cut to Elbaf's ship and we see the Straw Hat crew only drinking a little. Then they call off the feast since no one is in the mood. Nami, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper are taking care of Lilith in a giant sofa. Chopper says she's awake, "I'm so glad," and Nami says, "Are you alright, Lilith?" Lilith looks around surprised while she touches her earpiece. Usopp says that they're on the giant ship and that's why everything is huge. Then they explain to Lilith what happened in Egghead. Usopp says, "It's difficult to break this to you, but you're the only Vegapunk that we managed to rescue. We're sorry." Nami says, "Atlas hit you in the head," and Lilith says, "It's fine, I understand now. I have just been told everything. Sanji says, been told? By whom? Lilith starts acting weirdly. First, she starts to cry like a child. She says, just let me cry a bit. Usopp says, I wonder what part of you is supposed to be evil. And Lilith says, now I'm hungry. And Usopp says, that was fast. They say Lilith can eat the food that the giants have prepared for them on the table. Sanji wonders if Lilith is suddenly hungry because there's no connection with York anymore. Brooks says that the mood on the giants' table is a bit gloomy. And then we see a depressed Luffy eating very sad a giant grape. He says, darn it, I made a promise. I said that I would save the apple man, but I couldn't even though I'm a Yonko. Chopper says Luffy is in a serious state too. He's really down right now. So he only has eaten 5 clusters of grapes. Lilith says, I think that's enough already. I cried earlier for everyone's death. But it's only death in your guys' conception. To put it simply, all of us are still alive. We only died by your definition. Chopper says, what? Did they become ghosts? And Lilith says, what I want to say is you fulfilled our promise. So there's no need to be sad, Luffy. After Lilith's words, Luffy is back to his happy self. Then he comes out to the deck and jumps over the giant's table. Usopp tells Zoro, who is in the sunny, that Luffy is back to normal. Then all the Straw Hat crew and Lilith join the party. Robin is hugging Chopper like a stuffed toy. Robin says, if we go to Elbaf, Saul will be. And Chopper says, I'm happy for you, Robin. So I like that Robin is bringing up Saul here, and we'll get into him at the end of the video. The giants tell Luffy something that was told in the Vegapunk broadcast. They say, Vegapunk said that the world will be moved by the guy who finds the One Piece. Who do you think will be the king of the pirates? And Luffy says, hey, why do you think I even became a pirate? In the epic final double page of the chapter, we can see that the Straw Hat Pirates, Lilith, and the giant pirates are celebrating and toasting all together while Luffy replies to the giant's question. He says, even if you guys are going to try and stop me, it's obvious that I will be the one that will become the king of the pirates. The narrator says, and the ship sails towards the northeast direction to the long-anticipated land of giants. In the last panel of the chapter, we cut to the warland Elbaf, where we can see the silhouette of a person who is drinking on Elbaf's shore. He says, come. The editor's message is someone is awaiting them on the island of giants. Alright, so this is really exciting. We're pretty much at Elbaf at this point. And like I said in the beginning, they're probably going to dock there in the next chapter. And we see that there's a person, silhouetted of course, waiting for them there drinking. So it's possible that this is Saul, the guy that Robin was just talking about. Jaguar D. Saul was a former vice admiral who was like friends with Robin when she was a kid on Ohara, and he wound up saving her during the Buster call. We thought that he was killed by Kuzan, but it turned out that he survived it and salvaged books from Ohara to bring to Elbaf. And we know that he's there now. So if the silhouetted person is not him, then it could be Loki, who was another Elbaf character that was mentioned way back in Thriller Bark. He was mentioned to be the prince, but he might be the king at this point possibly, or it's that silhouetted character we saw a couple chapters back who had a sword like Shanks, who could be Shanks' brother, or it's just a new character. But let me know who you guys think it is in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.